I remember back in 2022, my very last year of high school, so grade 9, I was talking to my teacher about this thing that I was getting into at the time. So I just discovered like the whole drop shipping, e-commerce space. And I was talking to my teacher about how I was starting out on that, and I was like telling her about all this money I was going to make off of it. And she just instilled all of her beliefs in me. You know, you're not going to do that. You're going to have to get a proper job and work the rest of your life like the rest of us. You know, that's not going to work. It's not even legal. You're doing illegal things to try and make income. It's not maintainable. It's not a real job. You know, that's not an actual business. How are you going to keep that up? All of these things she was saying to me, and she just tried instilling her beliefs. But I fucking knew at the time. I knew I would prove her wrong. I didn't know anything about what I was actually doing. I didn't know how to run a store, how to set up a store. I didn't know how to make sales. I didn't know how to make videos. I knew none of this stuff, right? Anyhow, a few months later, I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend, who I'd been with for a couple of years. So I had heaps more time on my hands to do other things. So at this time I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna try and make some extra money so I can put it towards, you know, this e-commerce dropshipping shit. I've got no fucking clue what I'm doing, but I know if I've just got that little bit of extra money, a little can go a long way in this space. So I'll get this job, and I remember on my very first day of working in this job, it was a kitchen job, right? I was just like a kitchen helper, you know, cutting up food, doing dishes and what have you. So I'm at this little restaurant cafe, and I remember talking to the boss. He was in the kitchen as well. And he said, so what actually motivated you to want to get this job? And I confidently say to him, I look him in the eye, and I confidently say, oh, I want to retire by the time I'm 30. Obviously, it's sort of in a satire, joking way. You know, I'm sort of saying it as in like, I want to work for myself by 30 is basically what I'm saying. And these are the exact words he says to me. He looks me dead in the eye and he says to me, I don't know how you're going to do that because I'm 30 years old and I only make $100,000 a year before tax. And I just laughed, right? But in my head, I'm just thinking like, yeah, what? And you're the fucking peak of success, are you? I've got people in my family who are far more successful than you. What a fucking joke. That's what I'm thinking in my head. All these negative thoughts come to mind, right? Not thoughts I'd have these days, but a lot of negative thoughts come to mind. I hadn't done any sort of mental work at this point. I had literally, as I said, I had no clue what I was doing. So I just get really fucking annoyed and I just, you know, laugh it off. I remember after this point, I was pissed off and I ended up actually paying money to get a mentor, which was no good for me at all. It was a shit mentor. I pretty much got scammed there. But I did set up a store, all right? It was a shit store. It didn't make any sales. And I was really just slacking it. Like I was not consistent with it at all. I was real slack with it. I wasn't posting videos every day or anything like that. And the videos I did post were really shit. Now I remember at this point I had left school, but I also didn't have a job. So my parents were down my throat for me to get a job. I believe it was 4 months off of school and work. I wasn't doing anything. I was just at home, supposedly doing drop shipping, but I was, you know, just having a half-assed attempt at it, still watching porn and stuff every day, fucking around. But I remember right before I did actually end up getting a job, a full-time job, I was talking to my brother one day at the gym and he was telling me all these things like, oh, when you get a job, you know, you're not going to be able to run your business anymore. At the time, I had actually started a new business. It was an e-commerce store, clothing to be exact. So I was running this clothing brand with him and he told me, oh, when you start working full-time, you're not going to feel like doing the clothing brand. And I said, it doesn't matter what I feel like, I'm still gonna do it. You know, shit needs to get done, otherwise I'm just gonna stay in this job for the rest of my life. And he just kept telling me, like, we ended up actually getting into a verbal fight. Like, he just kept persisting and telling me I'm not gonna wanna do it, I'm not gonna do it. All my gym progress is gonna go away when I start working, I'm gonna lose sleep, I'm gonna be so tired and so sore all the time. And lo and behold, I start working and none of what he said happens, right? All of these situations I've just told you about have obviously stuck in my mind for a fucking reason. At the time, they pissed me off enough to go and take action on what these people had said or go against what these people had said. You're not gonna make it because of X. All right, fuck you, I'm gonna go and do this. Now, it's not to say I'm super majorly successful these days, but look what I have achieved. Virtually everything that these said people said I couldn't. Right? I started the store, I made tens of thousands of dollars worth of sales. You know, I started working full time and kept that business going. Did fall off in the end, but that's because I sort of ended up just shutting it down and I didn't want anything to do with it anymore, right? So everything these people said I couldn't do, I've achieved. And it's not even been 2 years. The thing you need to understand is that listening to naysayers won't get you fucking anywhere. Even if it's like your relatives, your family, they are thinking in your best interests, right? So if your parents are telling you, you just get a job and work your whole life, just choose the safe option because business is really risky, they may think that that's actually the best option for you because they don't want you to lose money and end up homeless or some shit. But the more risk, the more reward. We all know that, all right? We all know the more risk you take, the bigger the reward's gonna be, right? The bigger the carrot. But you do need to be so fucking careful who you actually take advice from these days, because that will depict your outcome. If you're taking advice from your parents and they're not some super rich millionaires who have got the amazing lifestyle that you would actually want, then you're taking advice from the wrong people, my friend. Because I did this for a very long time as well. Taking advice from my older brother, taking advice from my parents, maybe I'd ask my uncle, but none of these people actually have the life that I want, what's true to me, all right? Success is very relative, This person over here may be a billionaire, yes, but maybe they're out of shape. I don't want that for myself. That's not my version of success, right? You've got to look at your version of success, and then you've got to align your values with the people who you're taking advice off of, right? So if your values are like, you've got to be in good shape, have a lot of money, take care of women, protect and provide all this, red pill stuff. If they're your values, then you're not going to then go and take advice from, let's say, a multi-millionaire who's super fat and he beats women and all this stuff, Chris Brown type shit. You're not going to take advice from those people because they don't have similar values to you. Do you see where I'm coming from here? And what you need to understand as well is the more inputs you take from outside sources, it's just going to be more difficult for you to make your own decision, right? Because the two options essentially are, one, for you to make your own decision, or two, for you to go to people for advice. And if you go to too many people, your decision that you would have originally made is now going to be skewed from these external inputs. It fucked me up for such a long time, held me back. All these people that were saying, you can't do it, it's just not possible. You probably can't achieve that, you've got to be special to achieve that. Literal things they have said to me. If I had have believed those, I wouldn't have taken action. Changing my beliefs literally changed every aspect about my character. What you believe is actually what you will perceive. It's so fucking crazy. People don't believe in themselves, and that's why they just say fucking mediocre for the rest of their life. Like literally every person you probably know has just conformed to what everyone expects of them their entire life. They've never taken risks. If you ask the average 9-to-5er, have you ever been broke before? The answer's probably gonna be fucking no, because they've worked a 9-to-5 their whole life. But if you ask the average entrepreneur, millionaire, billionaire, whatever they are, if they've ever been broke before, chances are 9 times out of 10 they'll say 100% yes I have. Like, there's virtually no entrepreneur out there that you'll ask, have you ever been broke before? And they'll say, oh no, I've just had money all my life. They've taken so much fucking risk that they've got themselves broke, but then they've managed to get themselves out of this hole because they were persistent. They didn't listen to all these fuckheads saying they couldn't do it. So you need to change your beliefs, and you need to change your environment and the people who you're taking inputs off, who you're taking advice from, right? So fuck all of them. Only worry about yourself. Worry about what you've got to say, what you think, what's in your best interest. What do you think is true to you? What do you think is going to get you towards your goal quicker? All right? And do that. Stay grinding, bro.